What is up, guys? Today I'm going to be introducing you to a new project. Currently we have the Miata at the house, so this left us a ton of space. In addition to that leaving, we also completely reorganized the shop in the way everything's laid out in order to have ample space for the 3 cars. Now that we have that Miata gone, we can now push the crush setup back here and we'll have a ton of space for doing all of these little pieces for all the body work. But for today, I'm going to tell you about the new project car, I guess. This is a 99 Miata. I picked this up a couple of days ago. I haven't really done much at all besides just get it in here. I basically restored the headlights just because they are super foggy, and I put it on a trickle charger. This battery is incredibly dead. Anyways, I just want to let you know before you guys get all crazy, I'm not going to do anything besides make this thing run before I finish the Cressida unless I have extra time. I'm really just going to try and get parts over time, kind of collect them, and then maybe install them. We will eventually go all out, make this thing look crazy, look cool, and all that. Overall, the car is pretty clean. You can see that it's got some stuff going on. It looks like it's been shot there, and the paint isn't the best, but it's okay. It's got a little bit of rust. Overall, this car isn't bad at all. If anything, it's actually really clean for how much I got it for. The top is in absolute perfect condition. We got the glass back window, which I'm not sure if that's standard for NBs or not. Interior is okay. The seats need to be reupholstered, or we need to get new ones. I think I just want to get them reupholstered. You know, obviously I'll get like a kit and do it myself. It's really easy. I've done it before. But the steering wheel, this is a weird steering wheel. I've never seen this one on the NB. Usually it's just like the Nardi one. Obviously, I think this one might just be like a base model or something because it's got the roll-up windows too. Overall, the interior is pretty clean after it actually gets cleaned out. Nothing is really in bad condition besides like the driver's seat, but we're going to be getting all this kind of stuff replaced or refinished in one way or another. We can pop the hood here and we'll take a look at why I got it for so cheap, and that's because it doesn't run or drive. I had to trailer it here. Whenever I got this car, this motor was kind of lightly disassembled. Basically, there was next to nothing taken off except for the valve cover and then the intake tube here. First thing I need to do is replace some of these bolts that were missing on the valve cover. We're going to attach the spark plugs and everything, make sure everything's hooked up. It has oil. Everything seems to be pretty good. I guess there was some weird noise whenever it revved or whatever, or something along those lines. Basically, they thought that it was a rod that was broken, but I turned it over and it turned over pretty freely. It had compression. I don't really know what's up with this thing, so without hearing it myself, I really don't know what's wrong with it. So basically what I want to do is put it all back together, try and jump start it so I can at least hear what it sounds like, so I can at least try and diagnose what it is, and then from there we'll either pull the motor, replace the motor, pull the trans, replace the trans, whatever it may be. Again, I have no idea. I haven't heard this thing run and I don't know what it is, but we've got it for a cheap enough price that if I do need to replace any one of those things, it's not going to be a huge deal. Just got done installing all of the new hardware for the valve cover and then also hooking up the spark plugs. Hopefully they're in the right order. This is what it looked like online. Well, it runs. Hopefully you guys could hear that. I have no idea what it could be. Maybe a stuck lifter or something. This is nothing I've ever dealt with or heard. It's not like the normal lifter tick. It's a little bit deeper, but it's not nearly deep enough to be like a rod or something. It seems like it has full power or close to it. I tried pulling each plug individually to see if maybe there was something going on, but it didn't seem to change anything. It seems like it's almost kind of back here, so maybe one in the back 2 cylinders, and I think it's definitely this cam. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull off the valve cover. I'm gonna manually turn it over and check to see if one of the lifters is maybe stuck or something, and then see if we can't replace it or do something along the lines of that. But it's definitely upper motor. It doesn't sound like it's bottom end at all. Another thing is it is leaking radiator fluid, but that's just because we forgot to tighten up this clamp right here. Ah, shit, that's fucking hot. Yeah, keep in mind, radiator is hot, so don't touch that. But I think we're gonna pull this off and then maybe see if we can maybe try and fix this thing pretty easily. Everything is pretty good on it. Seemed like everything was working well. The trans is super loose. It is like, I mean, it's like worse than the other Miata, and that thing has like a 10-pound thing on top of it. This, obviously not in gear. This is in gear. So it's a little loose. This thing's also got 200,000 miles or like 199,000 something, whatever. So damn near close to it. I'm not gonna replace anything unless it's broken. I really don't have a problem with it being loose. Maybe I can just change out some bushings or something. I really don't know. I'm not really that concerned. I'm not trying to race this thing or anything. You guys know me. I'm just trying to make it look good. And as long as it drives good, I'll be okay. Main thing is, once we get that lifter, stuck lifter, whatever that is, sorted out, this thing's gonna be mint. It is the second day of working on the new Miata. I wanted to show you, we got some new side skirts and the rear mud flap things. I'm actually not sure what they call this, but basically this is for a Mazda Speed MB2, I believe. And so we basically got like the extended mud flaps for back there. We have the side skirts, and then I did order a lip for the kit too, so that way it'll kind of tie it all in together. Obviously it is red. We are going to be painting it along with the lip, the factory white, and so hopefully we'll get the lip in soon enough, and when that does come in, we'll go ahead and start doing all of the paint prep and paint them real quick. It really shouldn't be too long and should be a pretty quick installation. It's really simple stuff that'll make the car look a ton better. All right, so it's been another few hours at least, and we have this car pretty much torn apart. I ended up dropping the subframe. After putting it together, I don't even know where I last left off. I basically pulled this thing apart, the top end, at least one more time, just to kind of really sort it out. Turned it over by hand, pulled the spark plugs, tried to see, because it really did sound like top end, and I had a lot of people tell me that it was top end who are very knowledgeable with Miatas and Miata motors. And so I was pretty sure that it was it, and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna check and see if it's rod knock. To me, the easiest way to check to see if there was rod knock was basically to pull the oil pan. I knew that that meant that I had to drop the subframe, which we have done. It's not completely dropped, it's basically just drooped, I guess, just enough to be able to get the oil pan off, which is now off. I'll show you the rod in a second, but we do in fact have rod knock. It really didn't sound like it. I guess the amount of times that it was doing, I guess like the RPM and everything, it just made sense that it was top end, but I don't know, it ended up being rod knock, and that means that we're probably gonna either have to get this motor rebuilt or something, or just get a complete replacement motor, which is probably gonna be the easiest and cheapest option, I think. Maybe not cheapest, just easiest for me. I'd rather just swap it, because it's gonna take me, you know, maybe a day to do that, and wouldn't be the first time we've done it in a 99 Miata, because we did it in the green lifted Miata, if you remember. We did that in about like 6 or 8 hours, Frank and I, and it was honestly pretty easy, and I would totally do it again. Going under the car here, I don't know if there's gonna be enough light. We will see. But if you take a look here, and you can hear it too, is this one here. The cylinder number 4 has quite a bit of play.
So we put the whole subframe back on, and
I told you not.
We forgot about. Dude, you lit it. Hold on. Shut up. Let me explain. So he told me to make sure this was on, and then he's like, "Oh wait, let me do this," and he starts doing some other shit, and then you know we forgot about that. It was mostly your fault.
Oh yeah, check this out. So like when you're drifting, this is max fucking.
Fuck yeah. That's fucking JDM drift boy shit.
As you can see, we now have this thing 100% put back together. It's now the next day. We didn't finish up until late last night, and I really just wanted to go home after all that work. Dropping a subframe, dropping the oil pan, putting it all back together in a night is totally doable, and of course we did it, but it's just not that fun at all. It's big, it's heavy, it's awkward, and unless you have a couple of hands, it's not super easy. If you guys remember about maybe like 3 years ago, whenever I broke the oil pan on the gray Miata, the Lamborghini, I had to do that with one hand. I had a broken hand, and I basically could use like 2 fingers and one hand to do it, and I was able to do it, but it absolutely sucked. It went a lot faster, just better. This time I kind of knew what I wanted to do, and we also didn't completely drop it either. We kind of just let it hang down, and we didn't drop the rack or anything like that. So it wasn't a huge project. We didn't have to do brake lines or anything like that. But as you know, this motor has RODKNOCK, and we thought it was top head, and I say we because myself and several other people online, such as Greg from the Car Passion channel, huge thank you to you and all of your knowledge. We were trying to diagnose this thing for the past couple of days, and we really thought it was a head problem. He thought it was a head problem. I thought it was too. I really did not think it was RODKNOCK just because it was pretty high pitched, but it wasn't high pitched enough to be like a lifter tick, so I thought it was a lifter problem. I thought maybe something was in there, broken spring or something. I really didn't know. I've never had this issue before, and it sounded very similar to whenever Taylor Ray had the same issue in his Miata, except for he had the hydraulic lifters, whereas this one has the solid lifters. That's when we took this apart, and I don't know what I was expecting. I don't know why I thought it was gonna be a lifter issue, or maybe the cap or something. I really didn't know. I just wanted to take it apart and hope for the best, and hope that it was in the head, but it turns out that it was RODKNOCK, which is interesting. I guess the amount of times that it was ticking per the RPM, both Greg and I thought it was top end just because the amount of times I was doing, maybe it was only ticking or knocking on the compression round or whatever. We don't know. Obviously, it's tough for him to try and diagnose it over the camera, so not his fault at all. Obviously, this is my bad. He also said that I probably could have checked it just by turning over the motor and just trying to push the piston down, but this was kind of the way that I thought to do it first, was just to drop the subframe. I've done it before, and it really wasn't that big of a deal, and I was able to make sure 100% that it was a rod. As you saw, that thing was moving around in there quite a bit. So I do have a new motor lined up for this thing. Hopefully we can get it within the next couple of days. A couple of days after that, it should be thrown in and hopefully be running good. I do have a lip coming for this thing as well, so that means we're gonna have the lip, the side skirts, and the rear mud flap things, the Tupperware, I guess it's called. We're gonna be able to have all that to paint and then install on this thing, and then from there, we'll see where we take this. But for right now, I really need to focus on the Cressida. But this is where I'm gonna end today's video. If you are interested in helping out the channel and the progression of my builds, go ahead and pick yourself up some merchandise. Anyways, guys, hope you enjoyed. Peace out.